Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Glasgow City Innovation District's second webinar. It's fantastic that so many of you have signed up this afternoon. I appreciate that many of you have access to so many webinars now, but hopefully you will find this afternoon's session interesting and of some value to you and to your business. I'm Anne-Marie Campbell. I'm the Project Director for Glasgow City Innovation District. Before we kick off this afternoon, I would just like to go through housekeeping. If anyone has any questions, can you please use the Q&A function, which is available at the bottom of your Zoom screen. The chat function is disabled for this webinar, and the team are here to help, and we will have time at the end of the webinar to ask questions. Today's webinar is being recorded and we will share this after the webinar is finished. This afternoon we are going to learn more about how Strathclyde Business School can assist you and your business. Strathclyde University was founded in 1796 and it prides itself on being the place of useful learning. Founded slightly after that in 1947, Strathclyde's Business School is an enterprising, pioneering institution of global standing. It prides itself on engaging business minds and pursues impact on the stakeholders it serves. Strathclyde is a triple accredited business school holding accreditation from a number of international bodies. It is enterprising, engaging, and interested in influential research. It's widely acknowledged for its innovation in business and management education, and the Business School continues to demonstrate pioneering developments across its undergraduate and postgraduate teaching. The Business School has a strong reputation for effective working with industry, business and the public sector, and their vision is to attain the highest levels of knowledge exchange. Strathclyde's Business School's research was judged by the most recent UK research assessment exercise to be amongst the best in the UK, placing SBS as one of the handful of business schools internationally recognised for dynamic, innovative and influential perspectives on the problems confronting business and society today. The staff are highly experienced, leading experts in their field and take great pride in bringing innovative, deep academic knowledge to your organisation. I'm particularly delighted to welcome Dr. John Anderson this afternoon. John is a chartered accountant with an MBA from Strathclyde. He has been head of SME engagement at the Business School for the past 6 years. He is Programme Director of the ScaleUp Institute endorsed Growth Advantage Programme at Strathclyde Business School. He is a man of many talents. He is Chairman of Homes for Good Scotland, Blue Parrot Events Group, iMultiply, and in addition he holds a number of non-exec director roles. He is a specialist in entrepreneurship and growth, bringing some 30 years of personal and professional experience working with leaders of growth companies. He has vast experience of being exposed to several hundred growth companies in Scotland as a CA in professional practice, as an advisor and mentor, as an owner-manager, as business school researcher, case study author and professor of practice, as peer learning and structured executive education specialist, and as angel investor and active non-executive director and chair. John has an almost unique set of skills and experience of the challenges that every founder owner faces at different stages in their journey. I'm particularly delighted to welcome him this afternoon, and without any further ado, I will hand over to John, who is going to talk us through the benefits that the Business School can bring to you and to your business.
Thanks very much, Anne-Marie. Hi, everybody. I can't see them, of course. When I get an introduction like that, you go, oh my God, what am I going to do? When Anne-Marie and I were talking about what we're going to try and cover off today, the place of useful learning was yeah, actually I have been doing this for quite a long time, and I hope to share some of the insights and why it is we do what we do at the Business School. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm also going to put, I'm in the middle of Perthshire, the bandwidth is poor, I'm going to put my camera off and then share my screen, and I will take you through the presentation. And off we go. So just a little reminder, Anne-Marie's mentioned it already, but we are over 200 and whatever years old. The only Scottish university established during the Enlightenment by John Anderson as a place of useful learning. So let's be clear, it's not that John Anderson. This is me pre-COVID. So you saw the kind of scraggy beard, but I actually lost a bit of weight during this process, which is slightly bizarre. So it was then, in fact, this John Anderson, a professor of physics from the University of Glasgow, who felt that at the time education was really only for the elite, and was running evening classes for the citizens and artisans of Glasgow, and set up an engineering institute. And in his will, he set up the place of useful learning. But sadly, when you look at these two pictures together, it makes me think that perhaps I should get a powdered wig for my next fancy dress party. Slightly too similar. And this was the key sentence: a new university specialising in practical subjects for the good of mankind, improvement of science, a place of useful learning. And frankly, that's why I do what I do at Strathclyde. It means a lot to me. The institution has a very clear purpose set by the other John Anderson, and that's a purpose that I share. And we'll try and cover that off. A little bit more about my background. My MBA project was mid-90s at Strathclyde Business School. And on the left, we've got Local Heroes, which was a publication that I published with Scottish Enterprise in 1995. And that was based on my MBA project. The first piece of work in Scotland looking at successful entrepreneurs in Scotland, businesses set up between 1984 and 94, and which had continued growth characteristics, and did these characteristics and behaviours of the entrepreneur match most of this research, which at that point was US based? And the answer was yes, there was no difference. The black book, which is difficult to read, I led an organisation which is now Entrepreneurial Scotland. It was the Entrepreneurial Exchange at the time, which provided peer learning opportunities for entrepreneurs. And we typically have around about 400 members of each year. Collective revenues, 1.2 billion and 150,000 employees. So a relatively small number of Scottish businesses that had a very high, disproportionate impact on the Scottish economy. We weren't a lobbying organisation, but we did provide evidence to Parliament and to the Scottish Executive and then Scottish Government. Ties in with my personal appointments in various companies, drawing on that experience. And most recently, joining the business school, as Anne-Marie said, as the interface, if you like, between academic colleagues and growing businesses. And it's a role I thrive on. I thoroughly enjoy it. I get to work with some amazing people, both inside the business school and business owners, and also the mentioned Gabriel Investments. Some of you will be aware of Gabriel. It's a seed angel syndicate based at Strathclyde, but not confined to investing in Strathclyde spin-outs. Just a very interesting business. So lots of experience to bring to working out how we can, as a business school, help the growing business. I wrote a blog that's 3 years ago now. It had taken 20 years to become an overnight success. The frustration that I've found over the years is that often Scottish Enterprise, Highlands Isles Enterprise, would look overseas, particularly to the US, for ideas of how a business school can help a business that wants to grow. And yet on our doorstep, Strathclyde, amongst others, including Napier, Robert Gordon, Stirling, and RGU in particular, we've been doing this for a long time. But what we do have now is a scale at Strathclyde that probably takes the rest of the provision of entrepreneurial research and education in Scotland in aggregate, and it's still not going to be as big as ours. So our job is to turn that into something useful for you. Leadership position #1 in the UK for entrepreneurship. And with Nigel Lockett, who's our new head of the Hunter Centre for Entrepreneurship, he has ambition to make Strathclyde the go-to in Europe, which I think is quite achievable. The external validation, again, Anne-Marie mentioned the accreditations, the top 3, the AAC, Equus and AMBA are business school, big ticket corporate MBA work. The key here for the market that we operate in, growing companies, is the Small Business Charter Gold Award, only one in Scotland, only one of 5 in the UK. And most recently, ScaleUp Institute, a UK-wide body, endorsing the Growth Advantage programme as a one to watch, a programme hoping with a fair wind to get full endorsement this year, actually, if we can get through COVID safely. The key to Strathclyde's position in recent years has been this document. It's called the REAP Scotland report. It was a project. Scotland as a nation, as a country, took part in a pilot of a programme called Regional Entrepreneurship Accelerator Programme, REAP, run by MIT. And at the end of the process, there was a challenge to business schools in Scotland to up their game. I mentioned the fact that typically we would go to Babson or MIT in the States, and this was the call to action. Strathclyde were the lead academic institution in this, so it was kind of a natural place to start from. And the report, which was published in 2014, was probably the last thing I did in my role as Chief Executive of the Entrepreneurial Exchange. So I ran a Skills for Growth work stream within the REAP Scotland report. And that gave us the impetus to do things for business as well as undergrad and postgrad students. So what we try to do, my role, is to coordinate the support for growth companies, typically focused around Glasgow because that's where we're based. And we're providing it in 2 ways primarily. One is access to talent, and the other is in leadership learning for the leaders and their management teams of growing companies. If we start off with access to talent, what's impressed me about the tools and the resources that we have available in the business school is that there are core parts. This management development programme, every single undergraduate in Strathclyde Business School takes part in management development programme. It's a 3-year programme, it's the first 3 years of their 4-year degree. And there are practical ways in which the students get to work with businesses through business clinics and also internships. And this always struck me that Strathclyde Business School is really difficult to get into as a whole. Very high academic standards, the quality of the research and teaching is there, but it has to be translated into practical, useful learning. And I think management development programme just provides that. It's a structured way of doing it. At the moment, we're looking to work with, I think I'm right in saying, our colleague Julie McFarlane is looking to work with about 250 to 300 companies. And this is a fantastic resource. We will be sharing the way to access and contact details going forward. But if you're growing a business and you want some talent, it's enlightened self-interest. You're helping the student and you're getting some fresh ideas from the students. The core to the curriculum piece is important. Entrepreneurship education is all about practice. It is not a theoretical subject. A lot of very good fundamental research is carried out, but it's how it's applied. And in our main undergraduate programme in 3rd year, venture management and strategy, the students in that class are taken into teams and then they work on projects with companies. Again, we have to recruit, as part of my role is recruiting businesses who are looking to take a a project team in for something. And an example is one of the companies I'm on the board of took part. We were looking at new product innovation, and the founder had this red file of 30, 40 different ideas. Never had the time to check them out. So a student group came in and they selected, one project from the 3, and took this as a manufacturing company. They did the market research. They spoke to customers. They fashioned up a design based on what the customer was looking for. Went into the factory, worked with the production team to produce a prototype. Very practical. And instead of doing exams, they present back their findings. The company gets the benefit, and they get the benefit. Venture management in practice, it's individuals. The student essentially shadows the chief exec, founder, managing director for one full semester, learns what it's like on the job. And when I ran the Entrepreneurial Exchange, I used a very talented young woman called Nicole Perry, for a semester to help me with a project, which is coming up with a prospect list. It's a really terrific piece of work. Postgrad, we have a series of master's programs in the Hunter Centre for Entrepreneurship. Main one being Masters Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Technology. Part of that is an internationalization stream, and the group, again, we're looking for businesses to engage with who are looking for just a short-term project, looking at maybe an international expansion opportunity. And in this case, one of my Growth Advantage program clients, Wendy Pring from KCP in Ayrshire, took a group of students to look at a specific market entry strategy for one of our products. The presentation that the students made, they made to Wendy and her management team, but also to their Scottish Enterprise account manager, who was blown away by the quality of work. And this is all it requires is your time. It doesn't. There's no cost associated with this. Department of Marketing is another example. Again, at a master's, a postgrad level, the International Marketing Works is a well-established program. Again, at a particular time of year, looking for companies to help and get a group around solving a marketing challenge for international growth. MBA, Strathclyde MBA is now 54 years old. It's been around a long time, and 2 key parts of this. Again, this is direct engagement with businesses. Strategic consulting and practice is a course. I can't remember which stage we've been at the MBA for that. Again, looking for companies. It's a group consulting project, and then MBA projects. Every MBA student doesn't. We're not writing dissertations. We're doing projects with companies, and I introduced 3 very talented young MBA students to work with an e-commerce business in Renfrewshire. Again, that international perspective. They were from India. They were going back to their country, and the company was looking for some local management talent. So win-win. Student get a really interesting project. They get their MBA, they go back in country, and then the company has some talent to fall back on. The challenge, you probably gathered already, there's just lots and lots of opportunities. So the challenge had been to how do we match the company with what they're looking to do? What resources can we put this down to make it more effective matching process rather than relying on a relationship with a particular department? And we established Enterprise Solutions run by Alistair Mackay a couple of years ago to be that sort of coordination piece. And this is specific to Glasgow City. The funding for this position and the methodology around it has been provided by a philanthropist, an alumnus who has gifted the university some money to just become more effective. The link is there, and if anyone wants an introduction to Alistair Mackay, if you don't already know him, then very, very happy to make that. And Alistair literally spends his entire time talking to businesses and going, right, well, this is the best person. He and I work very closely together. One thing that it surprised me when I came across it was it's almost like a best kept secret. Businesses, partners, businesses in Glasgow are able to tap into the Strathclyde University Career Service. Again, some links in there. Feel free to go and dig around. But there are job boards. Our institution wants young people to get really meaningful work. So career service is not just you've graduated, off you go. The idea is that we keep relationship going with people. So you as a company can advertise vacancies. There are work experience opportunities that sit alongside. It's maybe not a permanent job, but you've got an opportunity to do a summer job. And probably the most impactful program that we run, and a lot of my Growth Advantage program clients do tap into this, is the Santander part-funded SME internship program. Unpaid internships are a pretty lazy way of investing in young people. So this is partially helping. We're going to pay the Glasgow living wage to a young person to work X number of hours a week for you, either term time on a part-time basis or full-time over a summer months. And Santander Universities, the philanthropic arm of Santander globally, helps fund that. It is incredibly helpful. It is difficult sometimes to find it. There's a pot of money, and if the money runs out, that's it. But I would urge you to particularly check out the Santander Fund internship program. And then the final. Recently, I've started to realise that the knowledge transfer partnerships, which some of you may well know about, that this is a 40-year-old UK innovation funding mechanism, incredibly powerful. And from a university's perspective, it's very important, because the principle of the KTP is that there's knowledge that resides within a university, and that could help a business. And how can we do that? And typically in the past, it was a very technical solution. One of the businesses I was involved in a number of years ago we had a problem with a particular gas generator, and we found someone in the chemistry department at Strathclyde who fixed it in a matter of 2 or 3 months. And we were able to dip into that. They went back to their into the lab, if you like, with a little bit more learning. Where knowledge transfer partnerships have gone, however, is that the realization is that you really wanted to leave all of that research talent in the university, but get access to it. So what happens with a KTP is that the company and the university jointly create a job for what's called a KTP associate. And that person is then supervised by the academic expert. So the knowledge transfer is through this associate whose responsibility, they're based in the company, not at the university, to implement the changes. And in something like 2/3 of cases, the associate stays on with the company at the end of the program. It's almost like having a long recruitment phase. The 2 or 3 of the companies I work with on the Growth Advantage program have taken advantage of this and kept the associates on. What's happened in the last year, there was a recognition that KTPs typically were very technically focused, and that there was an awful lot of knowledge and processes and things that a business school could do rather than an engineering faculty or a science faculty, for example. And the management KTP, MKTP, was started. And we're just starting. The application goes in next month in August for one of my Growth Advantage program clients to have a new management knowledge transfer partnership, particularly looking at data using the management sciences team to look at how the business can improve its performance through data. Management KTPs are, again, massive UK funding behind us, which is extremely welcome. And the essence of that is designed to address the productivity gap that we know exists in the UK, and to make businesses more effective by drawing on some business school practices. So going back to the challenge of the REAP Scotland report, the challenge was, how can you help the leaders learning? So the role I had in the Skills for Growth work stream was to reflect back what the members of the Entrepreneurial Exchange, the businesses I was working with, were wanting. They wanted access to leadership learning that was relevant to them. So big ticket MBA corporate stuff, not relevant to the innovation driven enterprise necessarily. This is accessible. I don't need to take a year out and study for something. And it's practical. You can apply it immediately. So our model is that we take world-class executive education and then we combine it with peer learning, essentially why I'm here. I've been doing peer learning for probably 25 years now, and just understand the power of it if you've got the right people together. So our thesis, if you like, was to say, let's take the relevant exec ed, marry it together with some peer learning and the techniques around that, and we can genuinely help businesses grow. So this is the main program. This is my program, the program director, the Growth Advantage program. Lots of material online. We're now in cohort 5, albeit in suspension because of COVID. This is very much a program that works on face-to-face. The essence of the Growth Advantage program is you've got a group of up to 20 entrepreneurs all facing roughly the same growth challenges, and they learn as much from each other in a structured way than just simply having my academic colleagues, show them new tools. It's simply the best thing that I've been involved in my entire career in terms of impact. The ScaleUp Institute endorsement, Sherry Kuto, you see on the bit of the web page there, Growth Advantage program is nothing short of brilliant. So Sherry Kuto, is the founder of ScaleUp Institute, just looked at the results and said, look, this is incredible. And it's just an honor to be part of the team that helps to deliver that. Just a sense of who the kind of people, so this is the 5 cohorts to date. These are established businesses. On average, across 83 companies that have taken part to date, average sales 2.2 million, 25 employees. And the way I've tended to describe the target for the Growth Advantage program are businesses that have grown and have got stuck and are not quite sure how to get to the next level. We take people through a journey over 10 months to help them focus on growing their business, adopting the discipline of growth, which is our tagline for it. The structure of it, 10 days over 10 months, as I say, is a 1-day orientation, which just sets the scene, gets everyone to know each other. We understand a little bit more about each other, personalities, not just about their business, but want to know about them. We've got some techniques around that. And then into the meat, so these market advantage, leadership advantage, resource advantage, 2-day sessions where we look at market advantage, for example, is all about the value proposition. We use tools that are proven in research. So the tools such as business model canvas, value proposition canvas from Osterwalder et al. Out in Switzerland. We use blue ocean strategy from INSEAD, and we know the tools to use, and we help the participants, understand a new tool, and crucially let them practice and go back to their businesses. And each of the sessions is designed to do that. There's a meaningful, something new, practice it in class, go away for a couple of months, try to work through with your management teams. Everything is designed to be able to take it back into the workplace. and all the way through. And then as a final celebration and pulling it all together. Thought it'd be useful to share a couple of examples from within Glasgow City Innovation District with you. So John Glenn, pictured looking very serious, which is unlike him. Spartan Solutions, based in Innovo, came on the second cohort of the Growth Advantage programme, and this is what he had to say about it.
I thought this is exactly what I need to get out of my business and actually talk to other business owners and learn some new things. It has been absolutely brilliant. I found it inspirational, transformational, and met lots of great friends, great people, and learned a shed load of tools, techniques, and ways of thinking that I think will transform how your company grows over the next 3 years. And if anyone's thinking about it, you should do it. It's great.
So one of the things that became clear to us as the Growth Advantage programme, each cohort came through, was we were encouraging the owner, whether it's the founder, whether it's someone who's bought the business, they've inherited, it's a family business, or employee-owned business and it's the new management team. If we're saying that our role on the Growth Advantage programme is to help free up time, get people to work on their business, not in the business, and trust the management team, what tools could we provide to support the management teams, given that they are not the lonely leader? And essentially that's what it is. So that whole peer learning concept works only where you're actually sitting with the right groups of people. And that's my job, is to pull them together. So we came across a program that was run at a UK level called Productivity Through People. And this again is a cohort-based, we've finished 2 programs so far, and it specifically addresses the productivity gap issue, and we've targeted it in Scotland. We are the delivery partner in Scotland to businesses who are looking for something for their leadership teams. So general manager, operations director, that type of thing, not the lead. You'll see the funding partners, pretty substantial. BAE Systems, Leonardo, Rolls-Royce, GSK, John Lewis. And in each of these cases, they look into their supply chain. So in one sense, this is actually a supply chain investment for them, investing in SMEs who are part of their supply chain and helping them improve. It's been a fabulous program and relationship, and we're just waiting for business as usual, business school to open up again before putting together the next cohort. And interestingly, I would think that probably 2/3 of the participants have come from existing Growth Advantage programme clients, and the others are from really exciting mid-sized companies in Scotland. We don't have enough of them. So we've got Peak Scientific and Booth Welsh, and these kind of really well established, Walker Precision, lovely, 30, 40, 50 million pound businesses, recognizing that they need to invest in their own people as well. The other thing that we were challenged with was the innovation-driven enterprise. I've been through the tech boom. There were organizations that were set up in Scotland to encourage spin-outs from universities. How do we exploit the wonderful knowledge base we have? Connect used to exist, some of you might remember. Now Informatics Venture. So a lot of work around a community, if you like, an ecosystem of early stage, more technology businesses. The language we've adopted is the MIT language of innovation-driven enterprise. And iGAP at Tontine was a specific pilot program that we worked on with Glasgow City Council 18 months ago now, to see whether we could take some of the principles of GAP, or Growth Advantage program, and peer learning to businesses at an earlier stage, not startups, but businesses that were young and yet wanted to grow. I had a really interesting group of people from Tontine on the programme. So I'll just give a couple of examples. A company called Ambiental, and this was an interesting one. It was a business that was split between Brighton and Glasgow in the Innovation District, and clever software data analytics around flood modelling, essentially. So the business is now part of, it got bought just after iGAP finished, well, Haskonig DHE. And Justin came in, he had 25 people, so it was a slightly bigger business than the rest of his cohort. And, you know, pretty experienced business owner. I was perhaps slightly, you know, concerned, is he going to get much from this? Or are we simply going to be drawing on his experiences? So I just wanted to show you what he said. I'll just pause there and you can read this, and I'll perhaps comment in a minute. So these words are a straight extract from Justin's impact questionnaire. So we look at how useful the tools and the learning has been in terms of helping you as a business leader. And that's in fact what got us the ScaleUp Institute endorsement as a one to watch, because it was practical. They were using these things. And when I mentioned that I thought perhaps that Justin was more experienced and therefore it might not be as relevant, when I read what he's taken from it and how he's applied it, you know, formally introducing the value proposition canvas as a tool, he'd never come across it before. And I think that's one of the challenges. Part of the reason I do what I do is that I see some amazing stuff that we teach our undergrads and postgrads, and I always get frustrated that I couldn't understand how business couldn't get access to it, which is what we're doing now. You know, leadership and management perspective, I've hired a chief operator and delegated, you know, that classic founder's challenge. You know it all, you're quicker doing it, and you just need to let go. It's got an exit advisory board. And then for a new service, you've been using the tools from Blue Ocean Strategy, which looks at non-customers and new things, and the value proposition canvas. So when I get these reports back, I just have a big grin on my face, because this stuff really, really works. R3IoT, we've got Alan and Kevin, the co-founders. Both Alan and Kevin came out of ClydeSpace, and they saw an opportunity to set up their own business using satellite. They're part of the satellite applications catapult. They are looking at using satellite technology for the comms part for remote monitoring. And this is, well, you might recognize a picture. It's actually a picture of a fish farm. So they came on, they were pre-revenue. They were very clear that their beachhead market for their first product and service was the fish farming industry in Scotland. It's huge. It's absolutely enormous. It's very, very valuable to the Scottish economy and fragile coastal communities. But there was an awful lot of you know, we're all aware of the criticism over use of chemicals, how we deal with lice, etc. So lots of sensors now for measuring all sorts of things, but remote with no comms. How did you do that? So Alan and Kevin came on, and Alan had been in a satellite business down in Surrey, you know, quite an experienced middle manager, you know, young future leader. Again, with some really strong areas, but areas where he had little experience. So this is what he said. And again, I'll just let you read that. So again, I think you can see that, you know, here's Kevin's the tech guy. He was the first to admit that he didn't have it. He was very, very narrowly focused in a technical discipline. Alan was much more understanding people, how you build teams. He had very, very strong leadership credentials. But actually, you know, he's gained in confidence from that process, and actually confidence in what they can do for their customer. Flip right down to the bottom, external validation. One of the challenges that every entrepreneur-led business has is a thing called entrepreneurial hunch. So very often you're seeing an opportunity that others don't. Excellent. But how do you know? Is it really just hunt? Is it you need to do the validation? So the tools that we teach around value proposition, absolutely nailing it to the customer specific requirements and then building around it. And for me, the exciting part from this was they had an offer from an angel syndicate to help them grow, and they chose not to take it. They felt they were undervaluing their business. They felt they could get to market quicker, and there's no better source of finance than a paying customer. And you know, with the clear value proposition and the support from their peers, they were able to do that quicker. They're still sort of just they're slightly on the border of the Innovation District. They've moved up St Vincent Street, but still absolutely attached to the support that the university provides, and real exciting business, a real one to watch. Chris Hughes, present pal. Chris came on. We'd invested in Gabriel. He was a Strathclyde Business School student and struggled. He's profoundly dyslexic and struggled with class presentations in his first year. Wanted to do something about it, had an idea on how he might be able to do that, and basically dropped out. He was given a leave from his studies, which he'll never go back to. We all know that. Present Pal is the app, and you know he's done extremely well as a brand new entrepreneur. I mean, he did start his business when he was only 20, a few years ago now. And this is how he presented back his learning at the end of iGAP. Again, I'll just let you read the slides for just a minute. So you can see in his own words what he's taken from this program. The iGAP program it was 6 months, not 10. But the only thing we didn't have in it was a thing around operations. But here again, you've got somebody who's been able to reflect not just on what he's been shown in the classroom, not talk about teaching people, but was picking up the learnings and talking to his colleagues about it, and then in the class. I love things like, you know, cool techie features aren't what a market won't sell, you know. And what he's done brilliantly is get away from, you know, that classic founder's dilemma. He really struggled to delegate because nobody could do it as well as him as quickly. And he's learned the hard way to do that. He's built a really good team with him. And his role is out there evangelizing. We're working with Microsoft accessibility team, because there's a plug into PowerPoint here, and this is changing young people's lives in terms of the confidence to make presentations. And what's interesting is that it's not just students with dyslexia. So this is a program that in the UK gets support from the Disability Students Allowance, which helps, you know, government effectively pays for some of the technology for people who've got sort of learning challenges. But actually, there's just a general, you know, you think about your role as an employee in an organization, more often than not, you're having to do presentations. So ultimately, we think this could maybe a crossover from a very specific disability accessibility issue to more mainstream, which is quite exciting, given our relationship with with Microsoft. And this was just a little thing that Glasgow City Council put together.
Just finished the inaugural iGAP Tontine growth programme for early stage technology companies, innovation driven enterprises. And what a fantastic 6 months it's been. Simple tools, proven by research, academically rigorous, but no theory and evidence. It's actual practical stuff you can do with the business. The cohort have been fantastic. They've gelled really well as a group of support, and I look forward to working with the cohorts going forward.
Hi, I'm Chris from Present Pal, and I've taken a huge amount from the iGAP programme, especially around the peer networking and getting thoughts from a really diverse group of people.
What iGAP's done for us is really given us a focus and assurance that we're on the right track in terms of growing our successful business. We've been given a lot of the tools that successful companies have implemented, and what we've actually done is looked at those tools and said, okay, how can we implement them into our business to take our business to the level that we want to get to?
And iGAP has really enabled us to look deep at who we are, what we do, and the problems we're solving. Couldn't recommend that highly enough. Absolutely amazing.
So the exciting thing for us is that having had the pilot, having had the relationship that we work clearly very closely with Glasgow City Council in the Innovation District, but the again the impact, the measured impact of iGAP has meant that it's now embedded in the new Glasgow Business Growth Framework. Again, slightly delayed in terms of building a first cohort under this new framework because of COVID, and as soon as we can return to safe face-to-face teaching, looking forward to working with a new group of exciting businesses. And it will be beyond just Tontine House. Tontine was the pilot, but in this case we'll be looking with our partners at the council for innovation-driven enterprises with ambition within the whole Glasgow City Innovation District. So I hope that has given you a sense of how Strathclyde Business School can help and does genuinely follow the other John Anderson, the real John Anderson's vision for a place of useful learning. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. These slides will be made available, and I will put my camera back on and we can move to questions.
John, that was absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much for giving us such a full insight into what the opportunities and advantages are of linking with the business school. As they say, every day is a school day, and I've certainly learned plenty this afternoon in terms of access to talent, the career service, work experience opportunities, and we just need to get that message out there to the businesses within Glasgow Innovation District, that we're not just there for undergraduates and anybody doing postgraduates and MBAs, that there are plenty of other opportunities that the businesses can link in and take advantage of the skills and experience that are available from the university. So thank you very much for giving us that valuable insight this afternoon. It doesn't look as if we've got any questions. However, we do have some information to share. The business school has been in touch because the master's students in international business and modern language students who would normally head abroad at the end of August to a foreign country in order to take up their placement are not able to do so because of COVID, and therefore I'm just wondering if there are any businesses out there who are interested. This is a free initiative for a company to engage with a language or business student that's able to devote the student's able to devote 20 hours per week of their time to undertake any reasonable project directed by the company. The projects can be varied, for example, undertaking market research, analysing market entry strategies, researching local partners, reviewing regulations, or even analysing the impact of the current situation on business opportunities, as long as it involves using a language skill. So if anyone is interested, if they get in touch with Glasgow City Innovation District, we will be able to put you in touch with the right person at the business school. But not to detract from your very wonderful insight this afternoon. I certainly recognise some of the faces from Tontine. I've had a few dealings with Chris Extendio, who's quite an interesting character, and I see that he's just got another appointment involving has he been made chairman of some neurodiversity digital? Right. So because of his being dyslexic and the great work that he's doing business-wise, it's opening all sorts of new doors to him. Well, I think on behalf of Glasgow City Innovation District and the people who have participated in the call this afternoon. Oh, would you have a question?
Really?
Oh, let me see. I am writing a dissertation about tech ecosystems and its impact on the Scottish economy, and I'm also about to kick off my own startup. I would like to be in touch closely to StrathHub in Glasgow. Where can I find more information about it? And also wondering if they can get the presentation in PDF. The presentation we will certainly be able to give you as part of the webinar at the end. Gemma will arrange to send everybody who has participated in the call with a copy of the webinar. But are you able, John, to answer? How do we get in touch with the Strathclyde Hub?
I think initially, I'm very happy just to if you emailed me details, my email address was at the end of the presentation.
Yeah.
So there's a really exciting change. What's interesting, again, timing is everything. And patience, frankly, is everything. 20 years ago, we started this idea of Tom Hunter invested in our journey of entrepreneurship. We had this concept of entrepreneurship for all, that everyone at Strathclyde, whether student, undergrad, postgrad, staff member, professional service member, alum, could become part of those entrepreneurship journey. And we could either help businesses grow or join businesses or start businesses. And Strathclyde has been doing this in probably classic university sort of perhaps silos. So I wonder whether Ula's talking about the hub, which was a physical hatchery based on the Rensselaer Polytechnic model at the Rensselaer in Upper New York State, where you had Student Hub, which is where students would start businesses. And once they got established, they moved into a full incubator. So the Strathclyde University Incubator was where Chris started out, having started in the hub, and then went to Tontine, and interestingly came back into the incubator. So Fiona Ireland is the name who's the kind of, she's been at this probably as long as I have, and we're in a process of re-establishing the hub in an engagement space within the business school itself. So I would suggest, if that's okay, if someone wants to come to me, if you want to come to me, that's fine. I see that Ashley would like to answer the question live. I'm not sure how that works, but
either that, or we can pass on Fiona Ireland's details as well.
Yeah, I think probably initially come to me because this whole ecosystem space, that's what I've been playing in for a long time. So, I mean, if I can help that in writing, helping you write the dissertation, I'm very happy to do that.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for your time this afternoon and for participating. Again, a huge thank you to John for his slides, his information, his skills and experience, which have been mind-blowing this afternoon. We're currently thriving in uncertain times, and everything that we are aspiring to do within Glasgow City Innovation District is all to do with entrepreneurial spirit and community building, and we will continue to do so irrespective of the circumstances. It goes to me to say thank you again for attending. Please don't forget to follow us on our various social channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, for updates on everything that's ongoing within the Innovation District. And please feel free to let us know anything that's happening in respect of your own news so that we can share it ourselves. And again, thanks again for your attendance this afternoon. And I think we've got 3 minutes to spare, so we are finishing on time. So thanks again.